Hello and welcome to Lynchburg Live. I'm your host, Linda Smith. Woodruff Store, Café, and Pie Shop is a landmark small restaurant in Amherst County. It's famous for its exceptional pies. Those pies were featured in the September issue of Southern Living magazine, and a journalist once referred to Woodruff's as a warm slice of home. Definitely Woodruff Store is that, but it's also a step back into history to what I like to think of as a gentler time. My guests tonight are Angela Scott, the owner of Woodruff Store, and her mom, Mary Woodruff. So good to have both of you on the show.
It's nice to be here.
As we get started, I'm just going to ask, either one of you can answer these questions, but I'll ask each of you specific questions, but please tell our audience where your store is and what your hours are.
Okay, it is located about 8 miles west on Elon Road, going towards the Blue Ridge Parkway, and it is a scenic Virginia byway.
And that's up 130.
130 west, okay. Elon Road, same thing.
And Angela, you're the current owner.
Yes.
Okay. And I understand that you and your whole family work in this store, and including your mom, Mary. And, you know, I have been to the store, and I enjoyed talking to you so much because you have a table of your own where people come and talk to you. I think people just like the opportunity to sit and chat with you, Mary.
Yes.
And you told me, and I don't know if it's okay to, if I'm being rude to ask you that, but you just had a significant birthday in November.
Yes, my birthday was November 24th, and I was born 1916.
So we have to do the math. So you're 97.
97.
Well, I think it's just exceptional. And you still work in the store, is that true?
Yes, I work a little bit.
What do you do in there?
Not much. I'm there every day.
But you bake?
Yeah,
still
I bake a little every once in a while.
Now,
not much.
I think you told me you made the fried pies?
Fried pies, yes.
Well, I think that's just exceptional. Now tell me, how long has the store been in your family?
Ever since my husband built, and we opened the store in, I don't know what month now, but we opened in 1952.
Okay. And so...
We were closed a while. We were closed about 15... Oh, well, about 15... How long were we closed?
Before I opened?
Mm-hmm.
We think you were probably closed about 15, 20 years before I opened.
That's right.
Reopened.
And then Angela, I gave it to her.
That's cool.
I gave it to Angela.
You know, in doing research for this show, I found out that, now that's not the original business, is it?
No, the original, well, my great-grandfather was a freed slave who fought in the Civil War, and when the war was over, with his pension, he built a blacksmith shop. And it was on that, actually not in the exact spot, but on that corner, back in the 1890s until I'm not even sure, but he had that business there for.
Now, as part of Amherst County history, that was the first black-owned business in Amherst County?
Yes, it was.
I mean, I think that's just so cool that you've done that. I enjoyed learning about the store's actual original building. Can you tell us about that?
Well, my grandfather, who was Wyatt Woodruff's son, that was my great-grandfather, Wyatt Woodruff, his name is Walter, and he told my dad that he thought the school kids needed a shelter to stand in out of the rain. So that's what originally they were going to do. And it, as Mama would say, it ended up being a 2-story building and a grocery store and a home.
And that was you said in 52?
1952.
And, I also, in researching, doing research when I found out it was so much Amherst County history, I read that people would come to your store sort of as a haven
Yes.
You know, to get in, not only get out of the weather, but to get away from abusive husbands, to come and ask for food when they couldn't afford it.
Yes.
And that was a really significant part of the store, and I think that's wonderful.
I think that was a big part of it, and that's probably a lot to do with the reason why, you know, I opened it, because there are so many people told me the stories of how their families would have starved if it hadn't been for my parents. And they also would let them charge their food until they, you know, could afford to pay, and sometimes they never got the money, but it was okay.
I think that was in an era when you sort of took care of your neighbors. You took care of each other. And, you know, I think that's another interesting thing about being in the store is the pictures that you have in there from back in the day when it was a grocery store.
Yes.
And I just think that that's wonderful. Now, the store closed and you reopened it again.
Yes, they closed. My parents ran it until 1982. And like Mom said, it was closed quite a few years. And in '98, some years later, I decided to open it. And it was so funny. Now I realize that the reason why that happened. But my dad and Mom would say, Angie, what are you going to sell? I said, I don't know. I know that I'm just supposed to open the family business. And I'm not real sure. And at that time, I wasn't. But I think everything fell into place. And, you know, I have what I was supposed to have. Pie shop.
So how did you really get into making it a pie shop? And it's not just a pie shop. You serve other food in there, too.
Yes, we do. Well, I worked restaurants for quite a few years. Right out of high school, I started working as a waitress, and then, you know, while I was in college. And I enjoyed, you know, serving. And people would ask me all the time, is this your job? And I said, yeah. This is what I do. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed that. So from that, I decided that I would have a little deli or a sandwich shop. And my aunt always made peach cobbler all the time. And the family would just go crazy over my aunt's peach cobbler. And it was something that made people happy. I knew that pie would make people happy. And my mother-in-law also had a lot to do with it. My mother-in-law baked, and she was a great baker. And my aunt gave me my first Southern Living cookbook.
Oh, that's
so from that, I just flipped through the pages and found some recipes, and then I tweaked them, and here we are.
I just think I mean, I think it's such a rich history, and I'm so glad that you have opened this up, and things have really sort of snowballed for you since the spring or summer, whenever. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but tell me what's on your menu.
Well, we have a small sandwich menu. Our chicken salad is our most popular, and we name a lot of our sandwiches from the area. We have a Salt Creek burger, which there was a Salt Creek post office. Actually, the area used to be called Salt Creek, and my mom used to take the horse down to the Salt Creek post office and get the mail or whatever. So the Salt Creek burger. We have a hot dog, a Tobacco hot dog, and that's from the Tobacco Mountain.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, our chicken salad is called the Monroe, and you know that's our mailing address.
Right.
So we have that. We have soups. We have pinto beans and cornbread, which is very popular, and of course pie.
You know, the day that we were there, you only have 4 tables in there and chairs, but I don't think, we were probably there 2 hours, and I don't think that any of those chairs were empty the whole time that we were there.
Yes.
I noticed hunters coming in and women coming in, and somebody said she had come all the way from Maryland just to taste your pie.
Oh, yes.
It's cool. Now, your prices are so reasonable. How can you do that? I mean, I think it adds to the charm.
Well, I've just, every time I go to price everything, I just think about what Mama said when I first opened. Give people good measure. She takes it, I'm sure, right out of the book of St. Luke, where you give good measure, press it down, and just give people what they paid for. And I know a lot of people in the area don't, you know, have a lot, and it just have to do it that way.
I think that's certainly to your credit, and to your credit.
Oh, yes.
For raising her the way you did.
Oh, yes. I love that.
All right, I want to talk about these sensational pies of yours because I've had some of your pie now, and you've got a good fan here with me. Bought one, took it home. My husband and I demolished it in 2 days, so you know it's good. But tell me about the pies. Are they seasonal pies or?
We try our best to do that. We have a hard time taking anything out of a can and putting it in our pie crust. So what we try to do is use fresh fruit when it's available. In the spring we have strawberry pie, and when the berries and all come in July, we have blackberry, blueberry, peaches in the summer, and then of course apple in the fall.
Well,
and our custard pies in the fall.
I think your caramel apple is something really, really special. Now tell me who all works in the restaurant with you. I know that Mary makes fried pies.
Fried pies, the apple.
The fried pies are Mama's recipe, and of course she will make them when she needs to. But she turned it over to my sister Darnette. I have retired twin sisters who help me in the store, Darnette and Darnell. And Darnette makes the fried pies, and they are the best seller.
Well, and you also had something called angel eggs.
Oh.
Darnette makes the angel eggs. They are our version of deviled eggs.
All right. Now, everything you make is from scratch, you told me, and that includes the pie crust.
Yes, yes, that includes the pie crust.
I mean, you can certainly tell the difference when you bite into a piece of that pie, because there's nothing like a homemade pie crust.
That's right.
All right. Now, you just told me before we came on, I think, or maybe since we've started, but when I was there, you all were making all these pies in 2 residential-sized ovens.
Yes.
How do you do that? 4 pies at a time, you said.
4 pies at a time. We just have to constantly have pies in those ovens. And one of those ovens is a confection oven, and you know, we can get them done pretty fast, but we bake all day and sometimes all night.
I'm sure you do.
Especially on the holidays.
All right, so now tell me how your pies ended up being featured in Southern Living. Were they on the cover? Was that a picture of your pie on the cover?
That was not a picture of my pie on the cover. I wish that had been, but that was a Southern Living pie, and I really do want to try that recipe. But no, my pie was on the inside. There's a picture of me holding the apple pie.
How did that happen?
Well, I was at work by myself one day. It was one afternoon in September. It was a very slow time, so everyone had gone home. And I just saw someone pull up and had a camera and just started snapping pictures. And she walked in and said that she was from Southern Living magazine and that she was doing an article on apple country. And somewhere during her travels, someone had said you should stop on 130 at that little pie shop and taste their pie. And I had an apple pie that day. And she loved it. She took another piece, and very small little girl, but she ate 2 pieces and took one with her.
And that's how this whole thing started.
That's how it started.
All right, we're gonna show some pictures that you brought, but I wanted to ask you how this Southern Living article has impacted your business.
Oh my gosh, it has just been wonderful. We have every day. It's probably our business has tripled. Our weekdays are like the weekends now. Our Saturdays were the best day. Now Tuesdays are like Saturdays, and Saturdays are just unbelievable.
Did you expect that? Did you have any idea that the volume?
Actually, I did not. I remember hiring someone to help me out because I knew when the article was coming out in September that you know, we'd have a few travelers, maybe some retired folk that, you know, were traveling in the area and would come by. But no, I had no idea that it would turn into what it's turned into. It's been really wonderful.
And there have been several articles in newspapers, in the Amherst newspaper and Lynchburg newspaper, and I think Darryl Laurent.
Yes, from that Southern Living, just that little picture. And the papers got the little story, and we had a girl come by and ask my family a lot of questions, which all of us love to talk. So we said, she's never going to get all of this. And she got the story that I actually wanted everyone to hear about, and it was our family history. It's not so much about the pie, but so much about my family.
You know, that's what I said. I went up there to sort of do research on the pies. I wanted to taste the pies, see what all the shouting was about, and came away from there with an entirely different focus. I really wanted to bring out the history of the store and, you know, what it's meant to Amherst County history. I think it's important that people know that.
Yes, that's what we wanted them to know, too.
You've brought some pictures with you, and Phil, if you'll put the pictures up on the screen, we'll get these wonderful women to tell us what they are.
That's one of those days. Mom and I are taking pictures and enjoying the customers. That's me and Mom. That's a picture of Mom. You want to tell them about that?
Well, that picture was taken in 1959.
That was the year I was born.
Oh.
Angela was my baby there, and I had been running the store while I think I ran it 29 years, total 29 years.
And this is a picture that's in the store.
Yes.
And you can see where she sold everything.
I see.
All kinds of things in there. Okay, it's help yourself hot coffee. We wanted to make sure everybody knew they could just go over and help themselves to the coffee. That's one of our menu boards. We actually go with the seasons a lot of times, and this looks like a winter menu here. We have potato soup and cornbread and mixed beans and cornbread, very popular. And then the cold plate. We have our chicken salads and our homemade salads, and of course our angel eggs.
Oh, that looks so good right now.
That is a slice of our coconut custard pie, or French coconut is that we like to call it sometimes. And that's one of the original recipes that I got out of the Southern Living magazine and just made it my own. It's one of the most popular.
Certainly one of my favorites.
Look at that cornbread.
That's the cornbread and potato soup. It's really what everybody likes right now. And that's the picture that was in Southern Living of the apple pie.
And that's the outside of the store.
That's the outside of the store, yes.
As a matter of fact, we're sitting in front of the store when...
Yes. And that is the cover of the Southern Living magazine. And, of course, that is not my pie. I wish that it was, but that's the cover of the magazine, September issue. That's my apple crumb with the glaze, very popular right now. And, of course, there are fresh berries that we got from the orchard. That's the mixed berry. Hadn't quite finished it. We put a top on that, or crumb topping probably on that. And that's the front of the building. And this is the original building that was built in 1952. We put an awning out front, but everything else is the same.
And people eat outside, I saw.
We have picnic tables, yes. Hey, that's a picture of all of us. That's my sister Darnell and Darnett.
And there she is.
Mom and me. That's all of us. That was a fun day. We have a really good time.
I enjoyed that day.
And Mom gets a lot of photos with people who just want to have a photo of her, and they enjoy sitting with her and taking pictures. I forget that gentleman's name, but
yeah,
they post a lot of them on Facebook, and we have a lot of fun. And that's me holding, I think that's the apple crumb.
The apple pie.
And then our buttermilk pie, and it looks like a berry pie with a crumb topping in there.
I have fond memories of that apple pie.
Great. And that's the famous fried pie right there. That is the bestseller. that's my grandma's recipe, handed down to Mama, and now my sister makes them. And we sell a lot of those.
Did you make those? Do you, or you don't know?
I don't know for sure, but they look a little bit better than those. They look a little better.
Okay, and that's another fun day with us sitting around. We call it the round table, and that's where Mama sits, and that's where all the customers like to sit, right there with her. And that's one of our fun. I think we may have been interviewed that day for something.
Every day but Monday.
How many pies approximately would you say you sell in a month?
Thinking about that, I would say between 275 and 300. That's a good month. That's what we've been doing lately.
And you make those in 2 regular residential size ovens.
Day and night.
I just don't know how you do it,
Yeah,
but you know, I think it's just exceptional that you do. What are your best-selling pies?
I would say because we're seasonal and we make our fresh fruit pies in the summertime, I think during the summer the fruit pies are the most popular. During Thanksgiving and Christmas, our pecan pie overall is the best seller. And then the apple, of course, at one point we could not make enough apple pie, but it's the seasonal, and then the meringue pies are popular too. So, but I would say the best seller overall right now, of course, would be the apple pie.
Right.
And then I think Mama's sweet potato pie from her recipe would be next.
How far in advance do you have to order a pie if you want one for a special occasion?
We love a day in advance, at least, 24 hours. It's possible to call in the mornings, and you know, on a good day we can get it done that day, but we'd love to have 24 hours, even 48 if possible.
Oh my. Now we've just gone through the holiday season.
Yes.
How did that impact your pie making?
Well, we have a lot of help. Mom, you want to?
Well, we stayed pretty busy. That's all I can say. We had to have help. We had to have somebody. Man, I did whatever I could.
Mama peels apples. She peels a lot of apples.
I peeled a lot of apples. Maybe a couple of bushel of apples.
And that's during the holiday season.
Yeah. During the holiday season. And we have cousins. We have a lot of friends that come in and help us during the season, that we can get everything done.
Do you have any plans to expand, or, I mean, it would probably take away from the charm, really?
We think about that a lot, and a lot of people ask us that same question. And you're right, we would love to keep our business where it is. We do need to work on our kitchen and our production part of it, but as far as moving, that's not something we want to do right now.
I just, you know, I can't imagine you being anywhere else. All right, now, do you have a Facebook page and a website for people who are interested in learning more about you?
Yes, we have a Facebook page and we have a website.
Okay, and you know, if you could say, which you have the opportunity to do now, to the audience, one thing about how you feel personally about working in this family business and the success that you have now, what would you say?
I would say that it's all about keeping the faith, and because of my family history, my great-grandfather with a blacksmith shop who would offer his land to travelers who needed a place to camp overnight, to my grandfather who thought it would be nice to have a shelter for the school kids. My parents were so giving when it comes to their business. I just feel like it was my calling, and after this year, I know that this was what I was supposed to do, that when I got that nudge that I know came, it was divine intervention. I was supposed to open the family business. We were supposed to be there, and we've met so many wonderful people, people who have helped us, people who have given us advice. It's just a wonderful atmosphere, and I love my work.
And you know, I think all of this that you've just said is because of the way your mom raised you,
Yeah.
and the things that she's instilled in you about helping other people. And I just think that that's the basics of this business that makes it exceptional and makes
Thank you.
people, you know, really want to come and have the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it is an experience. And I remember you told me when I was telling you I was worried about that caramel apple pie going from my lips to my hips. And I asked you, I said, how many calories? And you told me that pies that you eat when you're doing research for a television program really don't have any calories.
No calories.
So I have taken that with me, and I have held on to that, and I appreciate
That is
that.
great.
Good.
Yes, no calories.
Mary, how do you feel? We've only got a couple more minutes, but how do you feel seeing your daughters really become successful with this business, and it's something that you started and even farther back than you?
You want to know how I feel? I'm real happy about it. I can go way back and bring up some of the things that brought Angela to it, but I am real happy that it's still in the family, and I really enjoy it. I go in every day like I'm on duty, and I sit down and I entertain. So I named myself the Entertainer.
Well, I am just so glad that the entertainer, that you both could be with me on this show tonight. We only have a minute. Thank you so much, and I hope everybody takes an opportunity to go to Woodruff's and try these pies. My next show will feature New Vistas School. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.